Hello, and all you experimenters out there looking into energy, human energy, the way I do, and how it connects to consciousness and manifestation, and all the things that people think are spiritual that I relate to energy. And I put out a couple posts. I was thinking about having a look at one thing, particularly whether the talk that's going on online about body doubles and political leaders, or like Putin specifically with his trip to Alaska, what the cards would kick out about that. But I spent yesterday listening to the entire proffer made by Gislaine Maxwell with the Department of Justice representatives, including Todd Blanche. And I have been sort of a true crime buff for ages. I took my original political science degree with a bent on criminal law and a lot of legal stuff. I had thought about potentially becoming an attorney, and I was very interested in criminal law. And I've taken all the opportunities that YouTube presents now to follow cases and keep up with the law and how it operates in a criminal case such as the one Gislaine Maxwell is in jail because of. And so I had some very interesting takeaways from this proffer agreement. Now, it seems like the agreement was, you give us information that we can verify, or something along those lines, and we'll give you an easier place to do your time, because that's what happened. So after the proffer, after a few days, when they had reviewed it, she was moved. And it was indicated in the proffer, at the end of the proffer, that they would be getting back to her very soon with some sort of next step to whatever her side of the agreement which apparently is to have been moved, and potentially to provide the testimony that they took in the proffer to back up her challenge on appeal to the original conviction. It was very clear from the outset that Gislaine came in with a narrative. She'd prepared for a long time for it, and there was a lot of slippage of knowledge of guilt that criminals often don't recognize they're doing, because they'll frame a response, a challenge, something that they're presenting in a way that relies on assumptions that really only a guilty person involved would have. They're sometimes very subtle, but they often base their rationale on understanding what actually did happen with the crime and how the crime was actually carried out, to point out things that might be slightly wrong, or that the prosecution really doesn't quite understand, to try to say that none of it's true. But inherent in their argument is this assumption that this thing happened, but it happened in a different way. So it's very subtle. It can be very subtle, but I saw a lot of that with Gislaine. She was clearly using a lot of manipulation tactics, trying to curry favor, and clearly trying to take advantage of something that she sees now in the current DOJ that she did not see before, which is an opportunity to pander to their wishes in order to get a deal. I mean, just what it looked like, you know. So, but I thought I would throw the cards on this and have a look at the question of what was Gislaine's actual involvement, because she disputed it pretty much entirely. So I'm just going to do a throw and see what intuition and the cards will bring out about her actual involvement in pedophilia, all of this stuff, all the stuff. All right, so hold on and I'll bring you down and we'll see what the cards have to say. I'm just going to use my Crow Tarot today along with the clarifying cards that I like to use, which is the Pocket Oracle. And we'll see what they have to say. Hold tight. Thanks. Okay, so bearing in mind this is for entertainment purposes only. Obviously, I don't know Gislaine Maxwell. So I'm only going based on what I have gleaned from watching her proffer and sort of running it through my own intuitive system here and seeing how it comes out in the cards. Like, this is more about the consciousness reaching into the collective consciousness, pulling together information that might be difficult to consciously and seeing them translated out and what the cards produce for us to look at. So in that sense, I'm reading maybe what my intuition and logic and reason tell me is likely the case. So having said that, and having given it this deck the last couple shuffles, we'll now see what the deck has to tell us regarding Gislaine Maxwell and her activities in relation to the crimes that Jeffrey Epstein was convicted of and being tried for again before he left the plane. Let's see. What about Gislaine? What was Gislaine's role? Ooh. Getting a whole lot of... Wow. I'm not going to pull those as the read, though. We'll give them one more shuffle. But that's telling me right away by what dropped out that there is a lot. There's a lot of delusion going on here. There's a lot of manipulation. There's a lot going on. Okay. What about Gislaine, though? What's her role? Is Gislaine's role? Seem to want this bottom card on the top, so that's where we'll go with that. And some clarifiers for the same question. What was Gislaine's role in the crimes? What was her role in the crimes? Alright, we got one that jumped. Boy, I really have something to say on the clarifiers. We'll leave it at that and see how those land. That's going to be interesting. Okay. All right. So, signifier. Oh dear. Okay, so this has to do with transformation, bringing things to an end. Signifier is supposed to be Gislaine, so I would say that whatever the role was, in her mind, it's all stopped, it's been transformed. There's like a transformation of her role going on here, which certainly seems to be the case. She transformed herself right into the actual victim of Epstein who knew nothing at all, which beggars belief, let's be real. Okay, as clarified by the Tree of Life. Yes, look, there is a life process an ending, and a new growth. So at least in her mind, this is something from the past. It's all been changed. It grew into something. You know, this could be what she stated in her proffer, that she thinks the truth was transformed into something that then took root and grew. But her challenge is 10 of Wands. This is about being burdened and trying to get rid of the burden. And that's certainly what she's doing here. She thinks she can transform this and grow it into something else and give her freedom, get her back in life, you know, get back out. But she's challenged to do that. It's like a burden to do that, as clarified by the circle. So, like burdens in every direction. It's like there's a circle of evidence, and she's really burdened to overthrow it. Bottom of the deck, what she has control over, bottom of the reed, 7 of Cups. So she had some control over some kind of delusion. Like there was a self-delusion keeping her from seeing this stuff, or she was seeing prizes and there was all this stuff available, or she was making stuff available of all sorts, and she had control over these offers. So this is really saying to me that in this, she was making the offers to the girl. She had control over that. Now, as clarified by the arrow, she was targeting them. She had control over who was targeted. In the past, the 10 of Cups, you know, for her, she's looking at it now. Oh, it was all just happy family stuff. They were helping these girls were helping them, quid pro quo. These girls liked it. She said in her proffer something about girls like these down there in, was it Tallahassee? Shades of Donna Adelson. But at any rate, she was saying something about these girls like it. This is how they make money, by grifting off these men. And, that's probably to some extent true. Clarified by the ghost dance. Well, she's trying to bring that story back. That's what this is about. She's trying to get back to what she used to do, bring back the happy family things, make it all good again. That was in the past. But the ghost dance clarifier indicates an attempt through manipulation of some sort of energy to bring it back again. Crowning it, what she cannot control, the 7 of Wands. This is her having to defend herself from the accusations, as clarified by the staff. Yeah, the messages. So it's messages and the particular message. So what she cannot control is having to defend herself against the victim's messages. They have the proof. They've got it. What she's manifesting is 3 of Swords. Yeah, betrayal. She's going to be betrayed. She's going to betray someone. This is not, the energy she's using in this proffer is not really giving them what they wanted, right? They wanted Clinton. And no matter how many times they came back to that, there was a nothing there from her. As clarified by the vision quest, yeah, she's got a larger vision out there beyond leaving jail. She was not about to sort of give various people heat, because somehow in her future these people still matter to her. And she talked an awful lot about her deep connections with billionaires and upper classes. It seems to be extremely important to her, even though she was at the same time sort of trying to make herself out to be some sort of a pauper that never had any money, but was making millions on trades. None of it added up. It just didn't add up. And that's really what we've got here. There is a vision she has, but underlying it, it can only be betrayal. Whatever she's going for has nothing to do with anyone else. She's willing to betray whoever to get there as needed. But if she doesn't think it's needed. So, how she sees herself as a Six of Cups. You know, she's got a very... She thinks she was naive, right? She says in her proffer that it was going on around her, but maybe she didn't want to know. You know, and this is that naivety, wishing she didn't know. She wished she never saw the real evidence, and she could have denied it forever. As clarified by the Time Master. Yeah, I think she really was hoping from the time Jeffrey got arrested the first time to just skip on out of the garden with her little pail of flowers in her hand and, oh, you know, don't look over here. But time caught up to her, you know. She's feeling old about it. The environment in which she sits is prison, Four of Swords, you know. Shut up, sit down, don't go here, go there, shut up. So she's not in an environment that maybe is willing to tolerate her manipulation she's trying to pull. As clarified by the Ancient Ones. And I think that's like, you guys have been around the block a long time in prison. They've seen this Darvo, you know, defend, attack, reverse, victim, and offender used by criminals over and over and over and over again. And they saw her lies, and they identified actual lies. And she's, you know, using all this language manipulation to try to make them feel like she and they are on the same side of upending all the bad legal stuff that happened under the mean old President Biden for this wonderful man, this lovely man. I mean, nobody who's seen the man get up and speak thinks he's wonderful and lovely. First of all, he hardly knows English. Anyway, okay. And then Hopes and Fears, the Chariot. Oh, this girl wants to go, let me out. She wants to fly to the heart of the sky. She wants to get away. Please, God, take me out of here. You know, that's that's what her hope and fear is. So what's the outcome? You know, and this is also in terms of how was she involved? You know, we have down here that she had control of bringing the girls in. She, in the past, did this dance to make them think it was all happy. You know, she made sure she had the staff when it came to defending him. And she betrayed them for her own vision and gain, whatever that was, financial, whatever. You know, she sees herself as having been able to control it, but they see themselves as being silenced by a system, you know, the old boys club, you know, and everybody wants this to be dealt with, and they're afraid it's just going to fly over people's heads, and these victims will never get their justice. But what is the outcome in terms of her connection? So, she was very much in charge of those girls, according to the card. Yeah, hunting them, clarified by the Jaguar. So I would say that she did everything they said she did, and she lied from start to finish in that proffer. Bottom of the deck, devil. She was, and the child. There you go. She was tied to the devil and the children. I think that pretty much states it. All right, hold on. I'll bring you up. We'll close it out. it's really my experience with these cards and the intention used when you're working with them that they bring out very interesting perspectives. And I would say in this case, they brought out the perspective that is most logical, most likely. So, but leave me a comment, click like, help us get this out there, subscribe, do something to help the girl out. It's all free. And I'd love to hear from you and what you think about this particular reading. All right, and I will see you next week.